going to restart recording now. So it says it's recording. We should trust it, I think.
No worries at all. Well, I did set up iMovie so we can edit components out of this. I don't think it's, I'm going to feature myself so much.
No worries.
Play and pause your responses so that I can ask the questions live, almost make it look like it's a real, you know, no expense spared, mic by satellite, you know. So we might have some fun. Okay. So I guess what I'm proposing to do is go in and ask each of these questions. I've got some of the notes we had yesterday, and if there's something that you don't or that you miss, you know, I might just prompt you.
Sure.
And you know, it should seem pretty impromptu and unrehearsed, so I'm not terribly worried about the quality of it, and I can do some editing, as I said, anyway.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Okay. Well, Mike, thank you so much for participating and for giving us this opportunity to work on a bit of business intelligence work for Pottermore. I'd like to know a little bit more about what is Pottermore, what has been its significance and the following that it's attracted, and what was your experience at Pottermore?
Okay. So Pottermore.com is the kind of web community for followers of the Harry Potter series of books and movies. Was created approximately 6 and a bit years ago, and initially was more of a gaming kind of community rewards type site. For various reasons to do with franchise association and the cost of maintenance and lots of different reasons. The current incarnation is actually the second iteration of the site, and it's much more canon-centric. So it cares about the story itself. It cares about J.K. Rowling's view of the wizarding world of Harry Potter. And is less kind of end-user centric around games and creating potions and spells and things. My involvement has been around about a year now. I'm still kind of somewhat tangentially involved, but the role I had there was an explicitly interim one. What I found when I arrived there, and I hold my hands up, I was not a massive Harry Potter fan, but I have daughters who were of the right age, so I'm certainly aware of the world. My experience is that there is a very passionate worldwide community who care deeply about Harry Potter, about all of the characters, about the legitimacy of J.K. Rowling's writing and the meaning therein. And the Pottermore site gives them a place to in some respects interact. So when people start to look at the data, they'll notice a thing called the book club, for instance, where there are millions of members, and it gives them an opportunity to consult around the world of Harry Potter from the official source. And it's also somewhat fun in some respects. There are things to do which you know, pass the time and give a modicum of excitement.
Could you give us an idea of how significant the following has been, what kinds of activity each month, and you know, from a business perspective, even what's some of the significance of the Pottermore site?
Yeah, it's probably worth saying that while there is a sense that the maintenance of a community has a business value, that's not the principal motivator for the site. The principal motivator is somewhat pro bono. It's that there is this series of books and movies which have a large following, and it's nice to give something back so people can kind of stay connected. However, it does have business value in that if you look at recent content, for instance, there's quite a lot about the Fantastic Beasts movies, and clearly a large community of members is a great marketing channel for a new movie. So it's important for people like Warner Brothers that something like Pottermore exists. I answered the second part of the question. I think I forgot the first.
That's fine. Yeah. So how many people? Hello?
Sorry, internet connection went slightly flaky for a second. Could you repeat?
Yes, that's fine. How many people have you reached with this with this site? Yeah.
So the original incarnation had approximately 12 million members, and that lived for about 2.5 years. The current incarnation is now at 30. I think latest numbers are like 34 million-ish registered members. And it's worth noting that that was only launched less than 3 years ago. I'll find the exact number and send that to you. So it has accrued registered members at more than 1 million people a month. Though the monthly active unique users is always certainly north of 1 million, has peaked at something like 9 million. Again, I can supply exact numbers. But it's a very, very busy site, and on occasion has been in the kind of top 20 of world website busyness.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, that gives us a context for it. With the history that you've had, the vision for Pottermore, could you give us an idea what kinds of information do you wish you understood more about? What kinds of business type questions is Pottermore trying to or hoping to achieve from some data analysis on our part?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a very broad answer which says we just really like to understand the community better.
Okay.
Because it's somewhat pro bono, we don't have a large data analytics team. We don't have on-staff data scientists who are tasked with just understanding community. There's a slightly lazy answer in that we get 1 million plus new users every month, so we don't really need to try that hard to understand. It just happens, but it would actually be really nice to understand. So that's a kind of core question for me, that 1 million plus subscribers every month, regardless of what's happening. So it doesn't really matter if there's a new movie, doesn't really matter if there is kind of high public profile Harry Potter related events. It doesn't really matter that much if we launch something significant on the site. It does matter, it causes spikes, but the 1 million new users a month come back, it happen regardless of what happens, and then we spike from 1 million plus.
Okay. Is there a concern over the depth of user engagement then? So if you're getting 1 million a month, that's one thing, but is it about their behaviors and activities?
Yes, absolutely. So 32 million registered members, but what do users actually do? Do they come along for a bit, interact with the main kind of interesting interactive elements of a site, read a bit of content, and then go away and don't really come back very often? Or is there a more consistent? So one thing that'd be super interesting to understand would be a typical user life cycle and what dimensions you might apply to that, whether they be geographic or even things like which device. Is there a difference between users who primarily access via desktop and users primarily access via mobile, which might give us a sense of where we should be focusing our efforts from a development perspective. I really just sense that we don't understand what our users do enough to optimize where we invest our resources.
Excellent. Okay. Do you think, you mentioned very briefly, you think that there are certain types of events that might relate to a spike in activity. Again, that might actually be, presumably be a lot of users, that are already registered, re-engaging because the subscriber base seems to stay pretty constant. But in terms of engagement then, what kinds of events have you done over time at Pottermore that you think might actually account for some of these spikes that we could investigate?
So there are 4 or 5 major interactives on the site, from being sorted into your Hogwarts house, choosing your wand, discovering your Patronus, touring Hogwarts in interactive 3D, choosing your Ilvermorny house. All of those we would consider kind of big on-site events. But we also have a suspicion that, and it'd be really interesting to properly understand the impact those events have on both existing user engagement and re-engagement, and on sign-up registration. But we also have a sense that there are external events which we don't necessarily understand very well. While Pottermore.com is the kind of official canon J.K. Rowling endorsed version of a Harry Potter story, there are third-party, non-official channels such as the Wikia, which we believe might, when they feature something, it might be causing spikes in activity on our site. And anecdotally, we had a very big spike, I think it was possibly like back end of last year, in a sudden influx of users hitting the site and being sorted into their Hogwarts house and disappearing again, never coming back. And just by luck, we happened upon a couple of YouTube gaming community guys who have many millions of followers, who had just featured in a YouTube video that they sorted themselves into their Pottermore houses. And clearly a bunch of their followers decided to do the same.
So that might account for the spike.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. One of the other issues that that seem to come up in what you've mentioned is a certain percentage of the people that visit the site will actually sign up, but there might be, as you called it, a bit of a life cycle. So there's the possibility, of course, that we see a certain amount of attrition.
Yeah.
People leaving, not coming back.
Yeah.
Is that an issue, and what kinds of ideas, analysis, or suspicions do you have that we might look into?
So there are 2 kinds of attrition. There's explicitly unsubscribing, which is an event that we do track and is available in the data that we've provided. And then there is simply not doing anything anymore. And they're both kind of concern and something that we'd like to understand better. It would be really good to understand if there is a kind of a typical, I'll interact over a period of time, do a certain set of things, and then I'm kind of sated. I have nothing more to do, really. And I don't think there's a strong understanding of that. And even whether there are a set of events that might have some kind of falling off point that says, once somebody's done this thing, they're more likely to churn, as it were. If they've done the lion's share of the interactive events, are they suddenly somebody who's more likely to churn compared to people who've only done a couple and may stay active for some reason? I'm just not sure we understand that very well.
Excellent. Well, hopefully our team here can actually discover some of the answers for you. What is it that you would actually like from the team, or what kinds of outputs are you envisioning? Having a little bit of an idea what we can do from a data analytics perspective, but what is your hope from this challenge that you've put before our teams here?
So I think there's a broad answer to that is a more studied general insight into user behavior on Pottermore.com.
Okay.
So, understanding what that large amount of data actually means in terms of being translated into a fatuous example, but a user in Japan who joined in the first year of the site's existence would typically behave this way, compared to a US user who joined in the second year of the site's existence would behave this way, which will help us to develop our thinking around content strategy, interactive strategy, and probably marketing strategy as well. There is a detail there. We have users opted into marketing and not opted into marketing. Is there a big difference in the behavior of users who are opted in or not opted in? Which might help us determine, should we be more, I was going to say aggressive, but that's not a Pottermore word. We should be more, put more effort into making people realize the benefits of being in the opted-in marketing cohort. It would be really, there's a very specific thing that we're very conscious of, age-related regulation across the world, and there is an age gate on Pottermore, and I don't think we really understand how effective that age gate is. At the end of the day, for a free site, you can't really ask people to send copies of credit cards in and passports, or do kind of adult verification. So we do our best, but I think there are clues in the data as to whether people might be finding ways of bypassing. I would certainly recommend anybody who is going to start looking at the data experience the site firsthand and see what user experience is like, and what the age gate represents, and how they themselves might get around it, and then they might be able to determine if that's actually happening in the real data. And then the effectiveness of the content itself. So there are various content types. There is original writing, there are interactives, there are things like the book club, there are articles on characters, there is news. Is there a marked difference in how people interact with those different types of content? And I was thinking earlier that I might have a go at some kind of very rough and ready figures around kind of per element of site content in those various categories. Okay. Can I give you a kind of generalized cost, and that might help people to kind of say what's the ROI of different content types.
Okay. Okay, well, I think you have articulated the challenge for our teams very well. I appreciate this opportunity. Our consulting groups here will certainly do a good job of this, and we look forward to connecting with yourself and your data scientist, and inviting you to help judge the presentations with the final results toward the end of our module.
Yeah, sounds really good. On top of the data you currently have, I am very happy to answer questions as you go, and I think there are other data sources that I can seek out and kind of throw into the big bucket to help people out.
Okay. Actually, off of the normal video, yeah, there are a few clues immediately about the age thing, because we've got. I think in the data set that I got, I filtered out registered users, and we have about 14 million. So that's only about half of what you have now, just to let you know. So that's the basis that we're going to go on. And then there are more records than that, because obviously there are activities from non-registered users. Yeah. But certainly then for each of those, then we have a set of activities, and we can see how far they've gone, when they've logged into the site each time. So that was one thing I wanted to let you know. The other is with the ages, as I say, within those data, there are a large number of them that are, all born in 1900.
Yeah.
Or some random date, even 1901 and 1902. And I even thought to myself, don't tell me these people are putting that much effort into lying about their age. This is quite
yeah, well, that's the user interface learning as well, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is.
to this year, they might make less effort to go all the way back to 1900.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, on that, one of the things that you had mentioned to me is that there might even be clues as well when somebody has given an age, let's say an age that makes them 17, conveniently, but there might be a clue because can you think of any other activities on the site besides the sign-in where they may end up indicating an age?
I don't think
Any other events?
I don't think they do.
Okay. So there's because I had thought about whether we might be able to catch that on a future event or something.
No, unfortunately not. And like I said before, we do our best.
Yeah.
But
of course,
it's not a strong regulatory requirement, because ultimately the content is also the vast majority of content is age appropriate anyway.
Absolutely, yes.
So it's just kind of belt and braces, really, the age gate.
I just want to double check my understanding with age and content as well, in terms of it being age appropriate. I suppose that only becomes an issue when you're actually taking personally identifiable information like a sign up. You have no responsibility, I assume, in terms of if somebody finds the whole Voldemort thing a little too religiously sensitive and goes to the site without signing up. You don't have any responsibility for that, do you?
No. There's very little in front of the registration anyway. They can see.
Okay. So it's really only the sign up that you are then stuck with a 16-year-old age limit, because you're asking for.
If you go to a site and you do register, we're also very open about kind of GDPR, PII. You go to your profile, there is a button that specifically says "See what data we hold on you," and the wording is done in a very open way. It says, "You told us your age was this. You told us your name was this," etc. So we try to be as appropriate to our community as we can around stuff like PII.
No worries at all. Okay, well, I really appreciate it, Mike. Thank you so much. Given the internet delay, I think I probably have a recording of this, but